Once your Chromebook is logged in, if you had any settings, when you if you've ever signed into Google Chrome and you created any settings, for example, a theme or a wallpaper or something like that, it will remember that and it'll bring it up here. As we were getting the tour of the Chromebook, you probably noticed there's no CD drive. That doesn't exist. You can't install software on a Chromebook. It's not operating Windows, it's operating the Chrome operating system. So it is going to look a little bit different. Down here along the bottom, on a desktop, that would be called the taskbar, but this area right down here is called the shelf. And I'm going to bring this closer so you can see that first little white circle is actually called the apps launcher. And there's another video that we will post to get you through the apps launcher. These are some apps that I have pinned to my shelf. This is a smart shelf, meaning if I log out of this Chromebook and into another Chromebook, it will remember which apps I have pinned, and it will bring them for me each time. Going along the other side, there are some settings right over here. The time, the Wi-Fi, the battery, and if I tap on my profile picture, it brings this menu up. It will allow me to see things like the settings where I can activate the international keyboard. Right now my keyboard is set to a US keyboard. If I activate the international keyboard, that's where I could change the language so that I could type in another language on this Chromebook. I can also go into the settings to change accessibility, manage themes, that kind of thing. There's also the percentage of how much battery life you have left. It tells me that I have a 98% battery with about 13 hours. So the battery life is really good on these Chromebooks. You will notice that if you charge it up overnight, you use it on and off throughout the day, you will not be looking for a charger. It really does have a long battery life. There are some volume settings in here too. They were also on the side like we talked about earlier, and they're on the keyboard as well. And while we're talking about the keyboard, let's take a look at this. You'll notice there's no caps lock button. It looks really different. There is a different video we have that takes you through a tour of the keyboard because it is really different from a laptop keyboard. So if you're interested in that, there is another video that will take you through all the ins and outs of the keyboard. One thing that we like to talk about is the touchpad, because if you'll look at it, it appears to look like any other touchpad, and on a PC device, the left side of the pad would be a left click and the right side's a right click. Not a thing with Chromebooks. On a Chromebook, it's a little bit different. If you want to left click, that is just taking one finger and tapping the touchpad. If you want to right click, you take two fingers and you tap the touchpad with two fingers, and that is a right click. Another thing you can do is touch and hold the screen. So if I have an app down here pinned to my shelf and I want to remove it, I could right click on it by putting the arrow on it, using my two fingers and tapping to get the right click menu. Or I can take my finger, touch the app, press and hold. The same menu popped up. It's just two different ways to get the same thing.